In the village of Nsoromma, where the wind carried whispers of ancestors and the old baobab stood as guardian of forgotten tales, lived a man named Kofi. He was not rich, nor of noble lineage, but his heart was vast, and his love for his family immeasurable. Yet, a shadow had fallen over his homestead. A year had passed since Ifua, his beloved wife, had returned to the ancestors. A wife whose laughter had once filled every corner of the small modern thatch house, whose touch had soothed even the deepest sorrows. And now, silence reigned. Kofi often sat beneath the old baobab, staring at the horizon where the sun melted into the earth, and whispered words meant for the wind, for the spirits, and perhaps for his lost love. Efua, you left too soon. Our daughter. She calls your name each night. She does not understand why you are gone. Oh, Efua, why did you leave us? Kofi's daughter, Sena, only 9 years old, had inherited her mother's gentle spirit and bright eyes. But the spark of childhood joy had dimmed since Ifua's passing. Every morning, she woke to a house empty of her mother's laughter. Every night, to the quiet creaking of the wooden floor. Sena, whispering to herself as she sits on a woven mat, Mom, why did you leave me? I feel so lonely. I don't know who will care for me now. Yet, in that small heart, hope lingered. For though her mother's body had departed from this world, her presence remained. A breeze across the thatched roof, the warmth of sunlight on her face, a sudden scent of gardenia in the air. These were Efua's whispers, reminding Sena that she was not truly alone. And though Kofi tried, as fathers often do, to fill the void, he too was lost in grief. His nights stretched endlessly, the weight of responsibility pressing upon him. Sena, though small, bore witness to his sorrow, feeling the invisible chains that bound him in grief and longing. Sena, softly, holding a small carved wooden doll that once belonged to her mother. Papa, will you ever smile again? Will our home be bright like it was when Mama was alive? Kofi, kneeling beside her, voice breaking. My child, I try. Every day I try. But your mother, she was a light that even the sun envies, and without her, the world feels dim. As the moon rose over Nsoromma, casting silver light upon the village path, Kofi and Sena sat together beneath the baobab, shadows stretching long and thin, mingling with memory. The night seemed endless, yet it carried with it a secret promise that even in absence, love endures. But grief has a way of bending hearts toward choices they might not otherwise make. For a father, the ache of a daughter's loneliness becomes unbearable. Kofi knew, deep within, that Sena needed a mother's touch, a guiding hand, a presence that could fill the emptiness he could not. Kofi, to himself, with resolve, I must find her, a mother, someone who will care for Sena as I cannot, someone who can make our house a home once more. And so, in that fragile moment between sorrow and resolve, Kofi made a decision that would ripple through the lives of all who dwelled in the homestead. Little did he know that the woman who would come to fill that role carried her own heart, a heart not entirely hers to give. But before the new chapter could begin, the village of Nsoromma seemed to hold its breath. The spirits of the ancestors stirred in the night, watching, listening, waiting. For even in the calm of grief, the seeds of challenge, jealousy, and shadow were quietly being sown. And so, our story begins with a child who misses a mother, a father broken by loss, and a home that longs for light. The wind whispers of change, and the stars watch silently, knowing that the days to come will test the strength of love, the courage of innocence, and the power of the human heart. Sena whispers as she hugs her doll tightly, "Mom, I promise I will be brave. I will not let anything hurt us, not even the shadows." And thus, under the old baobab of Nsoromma, the first threads of our tale were woven. Threads of love, sorrow, and the whispering presence of those who have gone before. A tale that would grow, stretch, and twist in ways that none could foresee. Morning dawned over Nsoromma like a golden promise, painting the sky in shades of tangerine and crimson. Yet, beneath the beauty of the day, a storm of emotion stirred quietly in Kofi's homestead. The loss of Afua had left a hollow echo in the home, and Kofi, carrying the weight of both grief and duty, knew the time had come to act. For weeks, he had searched beyond the borders of his village, in neighboring towns and markets, seeking a woman who could walk gently into Sena's life, filling the void left by her mother without overshadowing the child's memories. And then, as fate would have it, he met Amina. Amina was a trader, her skin golden brown like the ripe she-nuts of the forest, eyes sharp yet soft, and a smile that could lift a heart weighed down by sorrow. She came from a distant village, bringing with her not only skill in trade, but also the warmth of a practiced art, one that seemed capable of caring for a child, even one not her own. Yet appearances can be deceiving, for the human heart carries shadows as well as light. Kofi, eager for Sena's happiness, chose not to dwell on what lay hidden. Early morning preparations. The homestead is alive with activity: cows lowing, chickens clucking, the smell of fresh porridge filling the air. Kofi, to Sena, gently, "My child, today is a special day. You will meet someone who will help care for you, who will be like a mother to you." Sena, hesitant, hugging her mother's old doll tightly. "Papa, will she be kind? Will she love me?" Kofi, placing a hand on her shoulder with a soft smile. "I believe she will, my child. She has a kind heart. And you have a way of seeing the goodness in people." And so, with hearts tinged by both hope and nervousness, they awaited Amina's arrival. From the main path winding into the village, a figure appeared, dressed in vibrant cloth woven with patterns of blue and gold. Carrying a small satchel, Amina walked with measured steps. Her eyes took in the village, noting the familiar sights, the dusty compound, the clay houses, the children playing along the path. Yet her gaze lingered most on the homestead she was about to enter. She had been told of Sena, the child of Afua, a child cherished by her father and beloved by the village. And though Amina's face carried warmth, her heart deep within carried the faintest tremor of something else, a shadow she had yet to understand. Kofi, welcoming, arms open. "Amina, welcome. You honor our home with your presence." Amina, smiling, slightly nervous. "Thank you, Kofi. I am humbled to be here. I will do my best to care for both you and the child." Sena watched from behind a pillar, her eyes wide, heart pounding. She remembered her mother's gentle voice and wondered if this woman could fill even a fraction of that void. Sena, whispering to herself, "Will she be kind? Will she love me like Mama did?" The first encounter was polite, even tender. Amina knelt down to Sena's level, offering a small carved wooden bird, a gift she had brought from her own village. Amina, softly, gently, "This is for you, Sena. A small friend to remind you that you are never alone." Sena hesitated, then took the bird. A small, cautious smile crossed her face. "Sena, thank you, Mama." a word that both warmed and unsettled the air. For while Sena spoke it in innocence, Amina's eyes flickered ever so briefly, a shadow of thought unspoken, a memory of jealousy that had yet to bloom. As tradition demanded, the village elders came to offer their blessings. They praised Kofi for his foresight, honored the memory of Efua, and welcomed Amina as a mother-in-waiting. Elder One, solemnly, may the ancestors watch over this home. May this child be loved, and may the new mother guide her with wisdom and patience. Elder Two, softly, and may the father's heart find peace, and the family find joy once more. Amina bowed her head, accepting the blessings. To the village, she was a promise of hope. To Sena, she was a stranger, yet one who might become a mother. But within Amina, a flicker of unrest stirred. She did not yet understand that love cannot be commanded, nor jealousy contained once it awakens. Sena, clutching her doll, hesitant. Papa, do you think Mama would like her? Amina? Kofi, stroking her hair softly. Your mother. She would want you to be happy, my child. And I believe Amina can bring light where we have known shadow. But the heart is a fickle thing. Even the kindest intentions can be tested. That night, as the moon rose high over Nsoromma, Amina lay in the new room that had been prepared for her. Her thoughts drifted, not to the child she was meant to nurture, but to the memory of her own life, her own desires, and the unspoken stirrings of envy she could not yet name. And so, the stage was set. A father grieving, a daughter clinging to the memory of her mother, and a new woman whose heart carried the seeds of both care and shadow. In the days to come, every smile would be tested, every gesture examined, and every action measured against the invisible line between love and jealousy. The wind whispered through the village, a warning, a promise, and a question. Who will truly protect the child? The sun rose over Nsoromma, spilling golden light across the village. Yet within Kofi's homestead, shadows were stirring. Not the kind born from darkness, but the kind that linger in hearts unspoken. Seeds of jealousy, fragile yet persistent, ready to grow. Amina had now been living in the house for several weeks. To the casual observer, everything seemed peaceful. She cooked, cleaned, and offered gentle words to Sena, attempting to bridge the chasm left by Efua's passing. Yet beneath the surface, currents of insecurity and possessiveness began to ripple. Sena, for her part, clung to the memory of her mother. Every laugh, every smile, every act of affection from Amina reminded her both of her loss and of the intrusion into the sacred space of her childhood. Children feel deeply, and Sena's heart was as sharp as it was tender. Amina, commanding tone, not harsh but clipped. Sena, sweep under the chairs properly. I don't want dust hiding in the corners. Sena, muttering, quietly to herself, always telling me what to do, as if Mama isn't watching. Even small instructions can feel heavy when hearts are tender. And for Amina, every act of the child was a reflection of her own place in the house. Love must be earned, she thought, and yet, every smile Sena gave Kofi made her feel smaller, unseen, unimportant. It was the subtle things that often revealed their heart's shadow. Amina would wash dishes and find Sena had already washed them, sometimes in her own way, leaving small splashes of water on the floor. A glance, a frown, a tightening of her hands. These were the first sprouts of jealousy. Amina, muttering under her breath while scrubbing. Does she think she can do everything better than me? She is just a child, yet she dares to. Take my place. Kofi, concerned, stern but gentle. Amina, Sena is just a child. She means no harm. Please, do not let small things trouble your heart. Amina, forcing a smile, eyes flickering with quiet resentment. Yes, of course, Kofi. But words are easy. Hearts are harder to control. And so the day wore on, each smile and small accomplishment of Sena feeling to Amina like a challenge she could not yet name. Afternoon. Kofi works outside. Amina and Sena in the kitchen preparing food. Sena, innocent, playful, speaking while stirring a pot. Mama, will you taste this soup? I want to see if it's good. Amina, her voice tight, forcing warmth. Yes, yes, let me taste. A tiny act, yet the shadow stirred further. Amina's mind traced back to her own life, the dreams she had before marriage. The ambitions paused, and now the reality of a child who was not hers. Each bite of the soup tasted like a reminder. Her love must be proven. Her place in this home must be fought for silently. As the days passed, small contests emerged. A misplaced basket, an overfilled water drop, an accidental spill of porridge. Each became a test, an opportunity for tension to rise. And Sena, though a child, was no stranger to defense. She had learned from her mother's absence that love must be protected. Sena, whispering to herself after a minor disagreement, I will not let her push me away. Mama, I will be brave. I will protect our home. Evening, under the baobab tree, Sena confides in her father. Sena, voice trembling, eyes wide. Papa, Mama seems different. She doesn't like me sometimes. Is it because of Mama? Kofi, heartbreaking tenderness, stroking her hair. No, my child. She loves you. Perhaps she does not yet know how to show it. Or maybe it is the newness of it all. Do not fear her, Sena. Be patient and be brave. Patience is a virtue few hearts hold under pressure. And jealousy. Jealousy does not sleep. It watches in silence, waiting for the moment to grow, to twist, to spark conflict. That night, Amina lay awake. Her thoughts circled like vultures. Every smile Kofi gave Sena, every giggle of the child, every memory of Efwa praised in the village, all stirred unease. And yet, even as jealousy grew, there was a competing warmth within her, a part of her that truly wanted to love, to care, to belong. It is often in this duality, love intertwined with envy, that stories take the deepest twists. And in the heart of Amina, the seeds of both would take root, shaping the days to come, testing every bond, every promise, every ounce of courage in this small homestead. Nightfall. Sena dreams of her mother, while Amina stares at the moon through the window, lost in thought. The homestead of Kofi, once a house of memory and loss, had now become a field where love and jealousy would battle, where innocence and ambition would collide. The wind whispered once more, through Nsoromma, a warning, a question, a promise. The heart is a fragile thing, and not all who enter it bring peace. The days in Kofi's homestead had grown longer, each sunrise bringing with it the scent of cooking fires, fresh earth, and unspoken tension. Amina moved through the house with a careful grace, her hands busy with chores, her mind restless. And Sena, whose small heart clung fiercely to the memory of her mother, began to notice that the rules in her home had subtly shifted. Where once she had been guided with gentle hands, now she found herself under watchful eyes, corrected for the smallest misstep, asked to perform more than she could carry. And yet, the spirit of the child was not one to yield quietly. Sena sweeps the compound, while Amina sorts laundry. Amina, softly but with authority. Sena, fold these clothes properly. Last time they were left in a heap. This house must have order. Sena, pausing, muttering under her breath. Order. I've always kept the house clean. Why must it change now? Children have a keen sense of justice. To Sena, this was more than a chore. It was a test of her place, a subtle message that she was no longer the heart of her own home, and that, the child decided, would not go unanswered. Amina turns to fetch water. Sena sees her chance. Sena, thinking to herself, if she wants to test me, I will show her I am not afraid. Mama always taught me to stand for what is right. And so, the first acts of defiance began, not with anger, not with rebellion, but with small, clever resistance. A pot left slightly askew, water carefully poured over the edge, a basket subtly tipped, nothing obvious, nothing that could be accused openly. Yet the effect was immediate. Amina returned to find the water spilled, the laundry slightly disturbed, her lips tightened, a shadow passing over her face, one that Kofi had not yet seen. Amina, voice tight, holding back irritation. Sena, who left the water drum like this? Sena, innocent, voice barely above a whisper. I did not, Mama. Amina's heart sank, not from anger, but from a gnawing sense of challenge. The child had cleverness, resilience, and a quiet defiance that mirrored a mother she could never fully replace. And jealousy, like a slow river, began to swell in the quiet corners of her mind. Afternoon. Kofi returns from the fields, sensing tension in the house. Kofi, concerned, soft tone. What troubles the house? Sena, Amina. What has happened? Amina, forcing a smile but with a flicker of irritation. It is nothing, Kofi. Just chores, as always. Sena, hesitant, protective of herself. Papa, I only did what Mama always told me. I did not mean any trouble. The innocence in Sena's words cut through Kofi's heart. He saw his daughter, small yet fierce, clinging to the memory of her late mother. And he saw Amina, trying to navigate the treacherous path between care and control. The balance of the home had shifted, and the first cracks had begun to show. Evenings became a delicate dance. Sena learned quickly where she could bend, where she could resist. Amina, in turn, learned that control was not given easily, even with the authority of adulthood. And Kofi, loving both, remained the silent anchor, praying the tides would not overturn the fragile peace. Nighttime. Sena whispers to her mother's old doll, plotting small acts of mischief to reclaim her space. Sena, whispering, determined, I will not be pushed aside. If Mama were here, she would protect me. I will protect myself. The first acts of defiance were seeds, planted carefully in the fertile soil of a child's cunning heart. And with each small act, each overturned water drum, each misplaced cloth, each quietly spoken word, Sena reclaimed a piece of the home she feared was slipping from her. And so, the battle lines were drawn, not with swords, not with shouts, but with subtle gestures, clever defiance, and the unyielding desire of a child to protect what she loved. The stage was set for the next wave, the rising storm, jealousy, cunning, and the first whispers of a plan that could either unite or destroy the household. The wind rustled through Nsoromma once more, carrying a silent warning. The peace of a home is never given. It must be earned, defended, and sometimes cleverly won. The homestead, once a sanctuary of memories and love, now vibrated with unspoken challenges. Small acts of defiance had begun to ripple through the household. Amina, determined to assert her role as mother and caretaker, found her patience tested by the cleverness of Sena, a child not easily swayed by authority, and Sena, fueled by the memory of her mother and the fierce loyalty of her young heart, refused to yield. Every glance, every gesture, every word became a battlefield. Morning chores. Sena carries water from the river, balancing two large clay pots, sweat beading on her forehead. Amina, calling sharply from the veranda. Sena, that is too heavy for you. Put down one of the pots and let me handle it. Sena, defiant, panting. No, Mama, I can manage. Papa taught me to be strong. I will not ask for help. Strength and pride, even in a child, are not easily tempered. Amina's eyes narrowed, the first flicker of true jealousy surfacing. Here was a girl who would not bend, would not submit, and most troubling of all, would not recognize her authority without resistance. The first whispers of envy had grown into a quiet storm. Amina, once serene and gentle, began to measure every smile, every gesture, every act of obedience from Sena. And the more she measured, the more she feared that the child would always belong to another, feared that her place in Kofi's heart and in this home would always be second. Midday. Amina prepares lunch. Sena, eager to help, reaches for a basket of vegetables. Amina, harshly, do not touch that. You'll ruin it. Step aside and let me handle it. Sena, innocent yet firm. But Mama, I want to help. Papa says helping is a way to learn. Words that would have once soothed, now pierced with unintended accusation. Amina's hands trembled slightly as she chopped, the rhythm faltering. The child's innocence, a mirror of the mother she had lost to time, reflected back a truth Amina could not bear. She could never replace Efua in this girl's heart. Kofi returned at noon, carrying firewood from the outskirts of the village. He sensed the charged atmosphere immediately. Kofi, concerned, voice calm but firm. What is happening here? Sena, Amina, I feel tension. Speak truthfully and let us resolve it together. Amina, forcing composure, but her voice tight. Father, it is nothing. I am simply making sure the household runs in order. Sena, she is careless with her duties. Sena, quickly, with protective loyalty. Papa, I only do what I can. I do not mean harm. I am careful, just like Mama taught me. Kofi's heart ached. He saw in Sena the bright spark of her late mother, the resilience, the intelligence, and the courage. And he saw in Amina a woman struggling to balance love with fear, care with jealousy. Afternoon. Amina steps outside, pretending to rest, but thoughts churn. Amina's mind, once disciplined and calm, now wandered into dangerous territory. She began to question her own worth. Why does this child resist me? Why does she cling to another? Is my love not enough? The answer, whispered by envy, was no. And as the sun climbed higher, Amina's heart began to consider measures she would have once deemed unthinkable. Sena quietly slips away to the river, her small hands cupping water, plotting the next clever act of resistance. Sena, whispering to herself, determined. If Mama were here, she would not allow this. I must find a way to protect what is mine. I will not let anyone take Papa away, not even her. And so, the tension escalated. Small acts became deliberate. Disobedience was no longer an accident. It was a shield, a weapon, a message. I will not be overlooked. Evening fell over Nsoromma, painting the sky in bruised purples and gold. Inside the homestead, silence was deceptive. Hearts beat with unspoken words. Eyes measured each other in subtle tests, and every corner held the potential for mischief, envy, or sorrow. The stage was set for conflict, for lessons yet to be learned, for hearts tested in fire. The question hung in the air, heavy and unavoidable. Who will bend? Who will break? And who will rise above the shadow of jealousy? The air in Kofi's homestead had grown heavy. Days of unspoken resentment and cautious testing had reached a point where patience could no longer hold. Every glance, every word, every gesture carried weight, and hearts, young and old, trembled under the pressure. That morning, the first true confrontation was inevitable. Sena is preparing breakfast, humming softly to herself. Amina enters, eyes scanning the room sharply. Amina, voice tight, controlled. Sena, did you wash the dishes from yesterday? Sena, innocent, answering calmly. Yes, Mama. I washed them after my morning chores. Amina, frowning, stepping closer. Then why do I see remnants of food stuck on the plates? Explain yourself. It was a small accusation, a spark on dry tinder. Sena's eyes widened, hurt, flashing across her face. She knew she had done her best, but in Amina's eyes, perfection was never enough. Sena, voice trembling, but firm. Mama, I washed them carefully. Perhaps I missed a spot. I did my best. Amina, cold, with a hint of anger. Your best is not good enough. In this house, you will do things properly, or you will learn the consequences. The words cut deeper than any slap. Sena's small frame trembled, yet her spirit, fierce and unbroken, refused to yield entirely. She looked toward the door, longing for her father's gentle presence, longing for the comfort of memory, and yet she spoke. Sena, voice steady, though tears glistened. Mama, I am trying. I do not want to make mistakes. I only want to help. Papa says that love is patient. Amina, voice rising, frustration spilling over. Love is patience. Patience is useless if it means leaving work undone. You are not your mother, and you will not make me look weak. The accusation was unspoken, but clear. Sena was a reminder, a ghost of the woman Amina could never replace. The tension in the air thickened, almost visible, as if the walls themselves held their breath. Sena, hurt, retreats to a small room. Amina follows, storming quietly but deliberately, her shadow stretching long across the walls. This was no longer a simple matter of chores. This was a battle for the heart, for recognition, for dominance in the fragile ecosystem of their home. Amina, standing over Sena, voice sharp. Do you think because your father loves you, I will let you rule this house? That I will allow you to manipulate everyone with childish tricks? Sena, looking up, defiant despite fear. I do not want to rule. I only want to be loved, like Mama loved me. I only want Papa to be happy. And in that moment, Amina saw not a child, but a mirror of the woman she could never be. A mother who lived only in memory, who had left a mark too deep for anyone else to feel. And so, jealousy transformed into something more tangible, a determination that would test the boundaries of both heart and home. Afternoon. Kofi returns from the village center, sensing the charged energy immediately. Kofi, voice calm but commanding. What is going on here? Sena, Amina, speak truthfully. Sena, voice trembling, emotional. Papa, Mama is... She yells at me. She says I am careless, that I am not like Mama, that I make mistakes. Amina, defensive, hands on hips. Father, this child refuses to obey. I only want order, nothing more. I cannot let her mistakes run unchecked. Kofi, sternly, looking from one to the other. Sena, I know you mean well. Amina, I trust you to guide this household, but not at the cost of cruelty. Respect must be mutual, even in discipline. The first confrontation ended with no resolution, only a fragile ceasefire. Each participant left with bruised hearts. Sena with the sting of words that reminded her of loss. Amina with the bitter taste of inadequacy and envy. And Kofi with the sorrow of seeing two hearts he loved most in the world at odds. Evening. Sena sits by the riverbank, throwing pebbles into the water, reflecting on her mother's teachings. The child understood one thing clearly. The home was changing, and if she were to protect what her mother had loved, she would need cunning, patience, and courage. She was not yet defeated. Sena, to herself, whispering, I will not let anger and jealousy win. I will protect our home. Papa and Mama's memory, I will find a way. Music cue. Gentle, hopeful notes under the natural ambience, signaling resilience and inner strength. So ended the first confrontation, a battle of wills, hearts, and the unseen power of memory. It was a warning to all that the peace of the homestead would not come easily. And somewhere deep in Amina's heart, the first seed of doubt had taken root. That love, unlike power, could not be forced. The day after the first confrontation dawned bright, but the air in Kofi's homestead remained heavy. Sena, though small, had resolved that she would no longer be a passive witness to Amina's sharp words and bitter commands. The child, who once sought only comfort, now sought strategy, her young mind quietly plotting ways to protect herself and preserve the memory of her mother. Kitchen. Amina is preparing breakfast, her movements brisk and sharp, a reflection of her simmering irritation from the previous day. Amina, muttering to herself, tense. If she thinks she can defy me, today she will learn the cost of insolence. But Sena was already watching, unseen, from the doorway. Her eyes, wide with awareness, traced Amina's every movement. She knew that direct confrontation had only caused tension. Today, she would use cleverness and subtlety instead of open defiance. Sena quietly gathers the small herbs and spices she had carefully hidden in a corner, remnants of her mother's teachings on cooking and household balance. Sena, whispering to herself, determined, if Mama were here, she would remind me patience, wit, and timing. I will show her that I am not weak, that kindness and cleverness can protect what is right. Breakfast table. Kofi enters, noticing the tense air. Kofi, concerned, gentle. Good morning, Sena. Good morning, Amina. Let us eat and start the day calmly. Sena approached with a measured calm, offering the small plate of food she had prepared. But she had subtly arranged the herbs so that the aroma and taste were enhanced. Not spoiled, a subtle test. A silent assertion of her skill and thoughtfulness. Amina, sniffing the aroma, suspicious but intrigued. It smells different. Did you prepare this yourself? Sena, nodding politely, eyes steady. Yes, Mama. I wanted to make something special for you and Papa. I hope you will enjoy it. Amina, though hesitant, took a small bite. Her sharp eyes searched for flaws, but found none. The dish was perfect, seasoned with care and precision, the very embodiment of patience and thoughtfulness. Amina, raising an eyebrow, softening slightly. Interesting. You have improved since yesterday. Perhaps there is hope for you yet. It was a small acknowledgement, but for Sena, it was a victory of spirit. She had asserted herself without anger, without direct defiance, and had reminded Amina that competence and care could not be dismissed so easily. Sena moves through the compound, performing chores, but with a subtle confidence, leaving small acts of kindness for Kofi, and even Amina without them noticing immediately. The clever child understood that survival in this new home required both strategy and patience. Each gesture, each carefully chosen word was a thread in a web she was weaving, a web designed to protect herself, honor her mother's memory, and gradually earn the respect of the woman who sought to dominate her life. Sena, thinking quietly to herself, I will not fight with anger. I will fight with thought. Each day, each action, I will remind them that I am here, that Mama's love still guides me, and that justice does not always roar, it whispers. Evening. Amina notices small signs of Sena's cleverness, flowers arranged near the door, her father's favorite seat cleaned meticulously, a small cup of water left beside him while he rests. Amina, to herself, a mix of irritation and grudging respect. This child, she is clever. She thinks she can outmaneuver me. Perhaps I underestimated her. In that quiet moment, a subtle shift began. Amina's heart, once rigid with envy, now wavered. She could see that Sena was no ordinary child. She was clever, patient, and full of quiet strength. And although jealousy still lingered, a grudging respect began to take root, one that could, if nurtured correctly, lead to understanding rather than destruction. Gentle flute over low strings, signaling cautious hope and tension intertwined. Night. Sena sits by the river, sketching small images of her mother, imagining ways to protect the harmony of her home while still navigating Amina's temper. The child's mind was a labyrinth of strategy and care. She knew that the days ahead would be filled with tests, with subtle conflicts and silent battles. But she had discovered a truth that even the strongest adults sometimes forgot. That courage could take many forms, and that cleverness, patience, and unwavering love could be mightier than anger. Sena, whispering to the night sky, I will protect our home, Papa. I will honor Mama, and I will find a way for all of us to live in peace, even if it must begin with small victories. Calm, yet suspenseful ambient tones fade slowly into night sounds, leaving the listener with anticipation for what comes next. And so, the clever defense was laid. Sena had proven, in her own subtle way, that strength need not roar. It could whisper, it could endure, and it could outsmart even the most determined jealousy. The stage was now set for the next phase. A duel not of fists, but of minds and hearts. Ominous, low strings, with a hint of hopeful flute, signaling the ongoing tension. The days that followed were a quiet war of wills. Sena, the clever child, had found a rhythm in the household. Her small victories, a reminder that skill and patience often outweighed brute force. Yet Amina, though beginning to recognize the child's quiet strength, felt a storm of emotions she could not contain. Jealousy, pride, and an insistent desire to dominate the home. Amina is preparing breakfast with careful precision. Sena enters, carrying a basket of fresh fruits. Amina, sharp, controlled. Child, did you wash this properly? Last time, one of the fruits rolled into the dirt. I will not tolerate carelessness. Sena's small hands trembled briefly, but her face remained calm. She knew that a single misstep could give Amina the justification to strike at her spirit. But she also knew that cleverness could turn accusation into opportunity. Sena, softly, respectfully. Yes, Mama. I washed them carefully and dried each one with my cloth. Please, taste and see. Amina inspects a fruit, expecting to find it flawed, but it is spotless. Her eyes narrow, annoyance mingled with grudging respect. Amina, gritting her teeth. Perfect. You have improved, but do not think this means I will go easy on you. Even as she spoke the words, her mind was unsettled. This child, Sena, was not as weak as she had assumed. And every day, every small act of skill, every quiet defiance reminded Amina that she could not control all the pieces of this household as easily as she imagined. In the afternoon, Sena sits at the table, carefully folding clothes. Amina enters, holding a piece of Kofi's garment she claims is improperly cleaned. Amina, sternly waving the cloth. You call this clean? This is disgraceful. Did you even try? Sena's eyes lifted calmly, meeting Amina's with quiet intelligence. She had learned that reaction could be a weapon. To show fear or anger was to give her opponent an advantage. To respond with calm wit was to assert her own strength. Sena, softly, respectfully, Mama, if I may, I follow the same method Mama taught me. Perhaps I missed a spot by mistake. Let me redo it, and it will be perfect. Amina's eyes flashed, her control slipping for a brief instant. She wanted to assert dominance, to strike, to remind this child who ruled the household. But she could not deny the dignity in Sena's approach. The humility and the resolve, combined, made her pause. Amina, gritting her teeth, whispering to herself, this girl, she dares to stand firm, yet she respects me. How can one child hold such power over me? Evening. Kofi returns from the fields. He notices a subtle tension in the air. Kofi, concerned, gentle. What is happening here? Sena, Amina, speak to me. Why are your faces tied with anger and suspicion? Sena straightened, placing a hand over her heart in respect. Her mind had prepared her for this moment, knowing she must speak with honesty and diplomacy. Sena, softly, with careful respect. Papa, Mama, I did not mean disrespect. I only wish to do things properly, to honor both of you. Amina, voice rising slightly, a mix of frustration and admiration. You speak well, child, but do you think words can replace skill? Respect must be earned, and I will not yield easily. It was the first open acknowledgement of the duel between them. Not physical, not loud, but subtle, psychological, a test of intelligence, patience, and heart. The household had become a chessboard. Each move calculated, each gesture measured. Sena lies awake, thinking through the day's interactions. Outside, the wind rustles the leaves as if whispering secrets. She had learned an essential truth. In the duel of hearts, victory did not always belong to the strongest nor to the loudest. Victory often came to those who understood the rhythm of patience, the subtle art of defense, and the clever use of small advantages. Sena, whispering to herself, determined. Tomorrow, I will continue with care. Every word, every act, it will matter. I will protect Papa, I will honor Mama, and I will survive this duel of hearts. And so, the duel escalated, not with violence, but with cunning, wit, and subtle power plays. Each day brought new challenges, each interaction a test of patience and intelligence. The homestead of Kofi, once a place of mourning and quiet memory, had transformed into a battlefield of the mind and heart, where a small child could challenge even the most determined adult. If you've been captivated by the story of Sena and Amina, the struggles of hearts, the bonds of family, and the quiet battles of love, make sure you don't miss the next chapter. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon to follow this journey of courage, cunning, and heart. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video for more powerful stories like this one. Share your thoughts in the comments. Whose side are you on? Sena's clever hearts, or Amina's growing pride. And if you enjoyed this tale, give it a like and share it with friends who love stories that touch the soul.